Before crowns gleamed in torchlight and thrones were carved from stone, power announced itself through fear. The most ruthless kings understood that mercy weakens memory, while terror engraves obedience into generations. As dawn breaks over ancient battlefields and silent capitals, their shadows still stretch across history. These rulers did not simply conquer land, they reshaped truth, erased rivals, and bent the past to justify their reigns, leaving behind legends soaked in blood. Survival depended not on loyalty alone, but on the constant reminder that authority was absolute, watching and willing to destroy without hesitation. Ancient legends speak of kings who claimed divine mandate, their names spoken with both reverence and dread. They mastered the art of appearing eternal through ritual, sacrifice, and spectacle. They fused governance with mythology, convincing subjects that resistance offended the gods themselves. Lost civilizations reveal palaces positioned to dominate floodplains and trade routes, where control over climate, grain, and water reinforced obedience. Ancient maps hint at realms expanded through calculated brutality, with borders redrawn after mass deportations and entire cultures annihilated to ensure no alternative identity could challenge the throne. Archaeology peels back layers of stone and propaganda to reveal how ruthlessness was systematized. Mass graves lie beneath ceremonial plazas, and scorched cities are buried under newer foundations. Each discovery complicates the heroic narratives preserved in royal chronicles. These kings understood that history is a weapon. Forbidden texts, detailing purges, betrayals, and engineered famines were hidden or rewritten, ensuring their descendants inherited glory without context. When scholars uncover tablets contradicting official records, access is often restricted, because exposing ancient cruelty threatens national myths still rooted in that authority. Climate change now exposes evidence, long concealed by sand and ice, revealing fortresses abandoned after environmental collapse. It shows how ruthless kings responded not with reform but with tighter control, blaming enemies and executing dissenters as their worlds fractured. These patterns repeat across continents. Royal narratives frame survival as triumph, masking desperation with conquest and ensuring that collapse appeared as a mere transition. The human costs vanished into silence, buried beneath monuments built to outlast memory. As our journey begins, we look upon ruined thrones, not as relics of distant cruelty, but as warnings. Modern technology now scans beneath these sites, revealing truths rulers fought to suppress. Political influence still shapes which kings are condemned and which are celebrated, proving that ruthlessness is not confined to the past. As we step deeper into their stories, the question sharpens. Were these rulers monsters of their time, or do they mirror what power becomes when it is unchecked, unquestioned, and preserved through fear? This is how kings transformed raw brutality into a cold, efficient bureaucracy, ensuring that suffering was no longer impulsive, but methodical, repeatable, and eventually invisible. We find letters detailing betrayals of brothers, wives, and trusted generals. It shows how kings chose repression over adaptation, sacrificing their own people to preserve their authority. Why do ruthless kings seem to vanish at the height of their power? In their final moments, their greatest weakness is exposed. Fear only works as long as people believe in it. When that belief shatters, monuments become tombs, and mighty cities fall silent. Archaeology tells this story clearly. Sudden abandonment, unfinished statues, and palaces left to ruin. This is the evidence of authority collapsing faster than history could be and yet, we rarely hear about these messy endings. Why? Because the rulers who came next learned a valuable lesson. They sanitized the downfall of their predecessors, erasing the incompetence and cruelty. They transformed total collapse into a cautionary legend, making sure future generations saw a story of triumph, not failure. This created the illusion that ruthlessness worked for far longer than it actually did. A lie that has echoed through the ages. Ancient maps and chronicles hinted entire realms that simply disappeared, swallowed by deserts, floods, or social breakdown. Their kings are now just scattered inscriptions or hostile accounts from their enemies. But as our climate changes, it's revealing secrets long hidden. Drowned capitals and frozen settlements, once ruled by terror, are re-emerging. They show us how absolute power was no match for environmental reality. In fact, brutality didn't prevent collapse, it often sped it up. Yet, access to these sites is often limited. Acknowledging that ancient, absolute authority could fail so spectacularly undermines the very same sense of timeless power that modern states still borrow from. Political influence continues to shape our view of history. It decides which kings are condemned as monsters, and which are reframed as misunderstood or even necessary villains. History remains a powerful tool for legitimacy. Rulers connected to modern nations are softened and celebrated, while others are demonized. It's a selective memory that protects contemporary power structures. But as digital archives grow and forbidden texts circulate online, old institutions are losing their grip. They issue minor revisions instead of admitting they were wrong, teaching us about morality without ever demanding accountability. This frames ruthlessness as a simple character flaw, not a systemic design still embedded in governance and tradition today. Modern technology has revealed more than just ruins. It has revealed patterns. We can now see that ruthless kings thrived in systems built on obedience, scarcity, and fear. And those systems didn't disappear with crowns and thrones. They evolved. They embedded themselves into our modern world in bureaucracies, economies, and surveillance networks. Control now feels distant, but it's just as effective. As we begin to see this continuity, the fascination with ancient tyrants deepens. They no longer feel like distant figures from a textbook. They feel eerily familiar, reflected in modern leaders who suppress truth, manage narratives, and justify any cost for the sake of order. So, as we look from ancient thrones to modern corridors of power, a final question hangs in the air. Does history remember these ruthless kings to warn us or to prepare us? Their stories aren't sealed in the past. They are alive wherever authority escapes accountability. As the ice melts and hidden truths surface, the shadows of these rulers stretch toward our own time, asking if we will recognize the pattern before it hardens again, or will fear, once more, be crowned king. Thanks for watching. If this made you think, hit that subscribe button for more.